Today is V-Day. We're going to talk about vaccines. Oh, yes, this is one of them hot topics that the American is dealing with today. We're going to talk about vaccines. You know, I am vaccinated. I was vaccinated for school. In fact, I got that little dog spot, that polio. I had polio shot. I had the measles shot. I got chicken pox. I got them real bad. And I had to, I was seeing this commercial that anything that's over 50 years old, you have to get the shingle shot. And I've seen older people with shingles and how it hurts. And, you know, a friend of mine, her father had shingles and he was 80-some years old and he couldn't really talk, but he was that's all he was doing. And you said, "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." And COVID came. I got the COVID shot, and I got COVID first, and then I got the COVID shot, and I got the booster to go with this. And, you know, and I understand it. It's because of all these vaccines that people don't want to understand that it's these vaccines that allowed us to be able to go back to semi-normal. Now we got another strain of COVID coming along, and I have signed up for that COVID shot, that booster shot, you know, and I'm going to get the whooping cough shot. You know, I talked to my daughter about it. She getting ready to have a little baby. I named him nickname. I gave him Cabbage. That's his name. And my daughter don't understand, but I said, the Cabbage Patch Kids. Cut it short, Cabbage, you know. So we're going to talk about vaccines. Well, you know, Florida is getting ready to take away mandate vaccination. We got that rasp mouth person in Washington that's talking about, who has no science, has no degree in science, has no medical background whatsoever, but he's over the health and safety of our country, and he's trying to get rid of the vaccination. You know, I remember when we had COVID here, back in, you know, in the 20s, the early 20s. And there was a lot of people, mostly whites, that was walking into Home Depots and stores and stuff with no mask. And one lady, she was it was two white ladies in the line. And this other one walked up and she didn't have no mask on. And she was being very sarcastic, and she was yeah, I wish she would have did it to me. I said, you know, with some plant food around there, I would have turned around and hit her with so hard, because I had just got over COVID. I just got over COVID. And it took me a while, and I had people, I don't wear a mask. Why you wearing a mask? You know, we had these theories, but look at it. It's because many of us got vaccinated that we can walk the way we walk without masks. Yeah. See, now we having childhood diseases that's coming back, like measles, mumps, rubella, all these different things that we had got rid of decades ago. Now, I understand if you know, first of all, you know, it's kind of hard for me to believe. Everybody say the government is this, and the government, you know, there is conspiracy theories about government, but one thing about it is that this time, the early part of 2020, when COVID hit, we had folks that was healthy, that was dying like flies. Y'all forget about that. Y'all forgot about how COVID came in and just almost obliterated us. It shut America down. But see how quick we forget. We forget who was in office when that happened. We forget, America has a short-term memory when it comes to vaccinations and diseases and stuff. And we're putting, Trump is appointing RFK Jr. I'm sure that the president with the same last name is digging another hole in the ground because this man here, he was on heroin for 14 years. And he said that's what kept him from studying, him to be able to study. Now, they've been having counsels with him, and they are asking. He says that when Biden came in, this was what that RFJ guy says, when Biden came in, Biden destroyed all the data that was related to the deaths of the COVID and the death of vaccination. They got rid of all of that stuff. Yeah, they did Biden. Oh, poor Biden. He being blamed for everything. He being blamed for the Titanic, and it goes on and on and on, But he says that was the data that destroyed. But if you notice that anytime they're having a congressional hearing with anybody from Trump administration and they start talking about data, they cannot point data to you. See, that's what I told you. I keep telling y'all, the books don't lie. Books don't lie. See, facts don't lie. See, if something was wrong in there, and everybody not gonna agree with me, but if something was wrong, that's just like somebody when you go on a job and they tell you, what, your performance is bad, and you got all these awards and everything, but they saying your performance is bad. You haven't been productive like you should and stuff, and you saying, well, when did this happen? Where's the data? Where is the data? Now, some folks, I knew this girl. I do. I know a lot of people that told me, she said, I'm not getting my kids vaccinated. In fact, I'm going to send them to homeschool to be vaccinated. Well, that's good. But then if they want to go to college, they got to get vaccinated. See, I wouldn't want my child to get something and that could have been prevented for us to die. Yeah. But see, you know what? See, that's how they gonna make America great again. See, hear me out now. You gotta hear me out. Well, you unleash all these diseases upon us. Cut away the health care and cut away benefits for us to get it. Yeah. Medicaid, all that other good stuff. Just cut it away. See, that's going to eliminate a large number of people, especially when that big, beautiful obituary come out. Then you got how you orchestrate a reduction of people. You got to be systematically. And see, you got to reach the ones that's so into the thing, the conspiracy thing, that the rabbit hole goes deep. See, I got COVID. My daughter got COVID. My son didn't, but my grandbabies did, and they got over it real quick. But me and my daughter, we had a tough time. My daughter almost perished because of that. It went from COVID to pneumonia to bronchitis, and then she had she had lupus, and and they was in the military, and the doctors was telling us, have we considered hospice? My daughter is in her 30s. I want y'all to go back and look at before the vaccination of COVID, how many people were dying. Y'all forgot that they had them freezers full of bodies. It was so overwhelming. Y'all forgot that. See, we forget. We forget because, see, things that went back to normal. That's just like we don't want to remember our history because we don't want to remember the bad time in American society or who put us in that society. See, they talk about, and these are Republicans that we talk about. The one thing I don't understand is that that's a party who has so much talk about Jesus and God and doing the most damage to anybody on this planet, on this right here. That's what I don't understand. If you read your Bible says, it talks about helping the other man. No, it don't talk about, you getting being able, you should get off your own feet. You know, you don't, we just, what kind of God they serving? See, y'all sitting up here, mostly, you know, the Caucasians, most Caucasians, they sitting here, they mad because it's like, wait a minute, okay, let me get this right. It was okay to tell the brown people what to do. Oh, it was okay to tell the brown people what they needed to do. That's when slavery and all this other stuff. It's okay when laws tell the brown people they got to go get a driver's license. They got to go get vaccinated. They need to do this. They need to do that. They need to be able to get up and work, and they need to do all this. You know, they can't have no, they can't make enough money to go on vacation. But then, wait a minute now. You can't tell a white person, you know what, that's the reason why these gun laws are not in effect. Now, see, if a whole bunch of black folks had guns and stuff, oh, they would have came out with you would have had the hopscotch, and there was a test for you had the hopscotch, and then you had to draw the straight line, and then you had to go to college, and if it was just black folks owning guns and all of that, oh, it would have been so different. The gun laws would have been stricter, probably would have had it one per person, per family. But see, you dealing with white people. White people don't want you to tell them nothing. They don't want you to regulate them. Every law is about them. It's not about them, you. Most white people are in the Republican Party. Those people, no, you better not tell them they got to vaccinate their kids to save their lives. How dare you tell me that? These are my kids. I guess that's why they kids are going into schools and doing what they doing with their Second Amendment. No, you better not vaccinate my child. How dare you? I'm a parent. I have that choice. But it's okay for that child to go into school and have the measles and mumps, and they got them little red things that's coming out in school, some kind of disease where it get all over their mouth. I think it's measles. And they going in school and infecting other children. Now, vaccine don't prevent it. It just makes it where it's milder. I wish they would have came out with a vaccine for chicken pox, but they ain't did that yet. They coming out with science. Science is coming out with ways now to reduce cancer. But you know what? They ain't gonna want that. They ain't gonna want that until it happens to their parents, and then or them, and then they gonna be pro-vaccinated. See, sometimes folks have to learn the hard way. They have to learn the hard way. They just vaccination is not for everybody. Yeah, I took the flu shot. I did. A doctor recommended it. Me being a diabetic, told me to take the flu shot. I took it. A couple of weeks later, I got the flu. But I didn't get it as bad as I would have had it. Now, that's a shot. I told him, I said, I'm not sure about that one. But I thank you. Black folks want to talk about the Tuskegee experiment when they injected people with syphilis just to see how they would react. Yeah, I get that. I get the stereotype. I get it, but it ain't stop y'all from raising up the sexually transmitted diseases rate to double digits now. Going into the triple digits. And they ain't getting it from no needle. See, we got to be careful what battles we fight now. We got to be careful. I want to live a long life. I do. I want to live but I also want to live a productive life. Like right now, everybody say that vaccines give you side effects. I'm a diabetic. I take metformin. I got a side effect from there. I take Farxiga. I got a side effect from that. I take lisinopril. I got a side effect from that. I take Trulicity. I got a side effect from that. So you combine all them folks with the same similar side effects, and that's what I got. And people say, well, you need to get off of that. No. Every medication that we take, from aspirin all the way up until whatever it is going to get in our body. And some of us, just like being a diabetic, or what if you taking medicine for HIV, is just a prolong of your life. Because back in the day, come on now, let's back in the day, you had folks that was HIV positive, they got AIDS, and then they ended up dying within weeks or months from when they got it. And I guarantee you, if them people can come back today and that drug was available for them and take it and live their life, they would be standing in that long line. They would be standing in a long line to get their life back. Because HIV, we lost a lot of people. We lost a lot of people, great talents, because of that. Yeah. I'm sure if them people who had got COVID and passed away could get it, if they could come back, and that COVID vaccine was available for them to take it, for them to be able to be here today, I'm sure they would have taken it. I bet you they'll be in that long line too. So I get it if you don't want people to be vaccinated, but don't sit here and say vaccination, like in Florida, it shouldn't be, they taking away mandates. Don't take it away, because I guarantee you it's going to be a spike in Florida that's going to be so high. And look at it. I live in Tennessee. I see a lot of people from Florida moving here, migrating here, coming through here. And so now it's going to overflow the people. You don't know. Just like Ebola. You know, Ebola didn't come here because of we wished it away. It came here because we had a great leader that sat and not handle it just here. He handled it where it was the origin from. But let's face it, we got a bubbling idiot. You Republicans are not, you know, DEI, that was supposed to be for black folks. But name somebody in Trump administration that is qualified for that job. RFK is not qualified. Trump is not qualified. Let's see who else. Cash Patel is not qualified. They got an intern that's over Intel. He's a gardener. He's not qualified. But you know what? But you say that you're trying to help black folks, but you know you cutting it out because black folks had that DEI was for black folks on the playing field. But it seemed like to me is y'all should have had a DEI. For y'all, because look what happened. But anyway, y'all got my rotors in today. I'm going to put my rotors on. Try to put my rotors on tomorrow. You know, put my new brakes on. Getting ready to be a nana for the 4th time. And, you know, like I said, and you know, we got so much stuff going on. And before I end, I want to say this. I'm proud of the women who are no longer victims now. They are survivors because they told off on their oppressor. And I'm proud of them. And I want to encourage. I'm also a little shocked about Marjorie Taylor Greene standing up for them. I hope she do the right thing. See, that lets you know that, you know what, sometimes people that's low down, you know what, God could touch even the low downest person. Yeah. And I also want to ask the Supreme Court now, because they found out that the tariffs was bad for the economy and Trump didn't have no right to do that. And I'm hoping that they will affirm the appellate court so that Trump will give back that $218 billion back to these countries, to these companies. Because see, if they do that, then what's going to happen is then they can reduce that and go back. It can be somewhat normal. Yeah, I'm hoping that the Supreme Court do that. Or better yet, don't even entertain it. How about that? If they don't entertain it, the appellate court rules things. But yeah, we need to think about that. You know what? Everybody don't raise their child the way you raise them. You got some folks, that don't raise their children. I look at it like this. Before you start clowning about vaccination, won't you start clowning about them school violence and stuff? Won't you deal with gun violence and stuff? That's really a major issue than to sit here and deal about a shot in the arm. You more concerned about that than you are a bully. Figure that out. Figure that one out.